The new apartment pack is genuinely some of the most fun I have ever had playing The Sims. It's all I want to do. All I can think about is building apartments in The Sims. It's basically completely changed the way I'm gonna play this game because all of my Sims are gonna live in rentals now. The more I've played with it, the more I'm thinking that it might be my favorite pack now. And that's a bold claim because it's still brand new and nobody is gonna be surprised by this, but today we're gonna build some apartments in The Sims 4. And not just any apartments, this is an entire apartment complex. It's 12 units in total. There's 2 buildings with 6 units in each. And I'm building this in Willow Creek. I've built this where the museum usually goes in Willow Creek because I don't know about you, but the museum lot is basically useless to me. I never go there. It's not really like a helpful or useful community lot. And when I was thinking about things that I could replace in Willow Creek to try and build this, I was like, you know what? The last thing anybody needs is a museum. So I got rid of it. This is actually a 40 by 30 lot, so we have a lot of space to work with too. And I really like the idea of there being a nice apartment building in this sort of downtown area in Willow Creek. I know downtown is kind of a stretch because it's 4 lots. It's just 4 lots along the water, but I liked the idea of this, okay? So that's kind of what I was going for. I think I have this vision of trying to build apartments in every single one of the worlds. I'd really like to do some limited pack builds too. So like, for example, with this one, this is actually a completely base game build because I built this before the pack came out. This is one of those things that I was doing in preparation for the pack. Although actually saying that, I think I built this when I had early access to the pack, but in that weird fake early access version that I had, where I had the weird watermark and like the no gallery access. I built this on stream in the regular game with the intention of using it in my early access version, which actually ended up being a good idea because now we have this massive building for you all to use. And this is actually a good pro tip, even if you have the pack. I speak from experience when I say that you should probably build your new rental lots as just a regular residential and then swap it to the rental lot type at the end, because the new rental lot types are really laggy in build mode. They're not laggy in game when you're actually playing, but in build mode, there is some serious lag on the rental lot types. So if I were you and I was building something like this, I would not assign the units as you go. Your best bet is to just build a regular house and then at the very end, last step, go through and assign each room to the different units and then transfer it to a rental lot type then. Because if I had assigned all 12 of these units first, it would have been a disaster. There would have been so much lag. It would be basically unbearable to play that way. The bonus is that in live mode, it's not laggy at all. There's not any problems playing in a rental. It's just building the rental that has some issues, which is not really a good sign. But just being honest, it's kind of rough, so I'm warning you now. So anyway, this build is completely base game. I didn't even use any of the new pack content as furniture because I didn't have it installed at this point. So it was only base game stuff inside. And I think that's actually kind of nice because even if you don't have the pack, you could still use this. You could download it and then maybe if I were you, delete the furniture from the units that you're not living in just because it makes the game less bad. You don't need to pay for 11 units that you aren't actually living in. So just delete those if you don't have the pack. But you could use this and pretend to live in an apartment just like we all used to do before the pack came out. And speaking of living in apartments, let's talk about the inside of these for a second. So you've noticed by now that I've kind of started working on the floor plan. I was having a lot of trouble with the stairs and the stair railing glitch where the railing becomes not visible. Oh, it was making me want to cry. I was so mad. I don't know if this glitch is fixed post update because I filmed this before the update came out, but my hopes aren't high. I'm guessing it probably is still there. I really wouldn't be surprised if we still had that bug happening, but you're gonna see a lot of me messing with staircases and messing with freezes and just trying to deal with little tiny Sims bugs in this build. And then you'll notice in the interiors, there's basically a big long hallway in the middle, and that's where the staircases are. So there's 3 floors, there's staircases all the way up, and then on each side, there's basically 2 units per floor, one on the left and one on the right. Most of them are identical in size, but they do vary a little bit. We have a little bit of space in the middle behind the stairs, and I tried to use that to fit some extra bedrooms in a couple of the units. So in total, most of them are only 1 bedroom, but there's 4 units that are 2 bedrooms. So there's 2 in each building that have 2 bedrooms. These are actually very long and very skinny apartments, so there isn't a lot of room for extra space, but if you did want to play with a family or like maybe a couple of roommates, you could totally do that. And then as far as the furnishing goes, I don't want to say I tried to furnish them generically because that's not what I did. They're all very different in the interiors. I tried to make some really distinct color scheme separation, so like each unit had a very separate vibe, but generally I tried to make apartments that would fit like any sort of sim, like kind of generic skill building stuff, kind of generic bedrooms where like any kid could really use it, because I'm picturing myself playing in this lot and like you're gonna probably just assign random neighbors. Like if I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna pick the apartment I like best and use that for my sim, and then probably just get some random people to move into all the rest of them. So they're not gonna be decorated to that person's taste. They're kind of just decorated to fit anybody inside. And that's just if you're playing as a tenant, but if you're playing as a landlord, it's gonna be even worse because you're just gonna have like the most random people ever come move into these. When I was doing some playtesting, I had Nancy Landgrab be the owner of this building. It is canon that the Landgrabs own everything. Like in all of the previous Sims games, it was a little bit more obvious. There would be like Landgrab Industries and Landgrab Elementary School. Like it was part of the story in game that the Landgrabs owned all of the property in town. In The Sims 4, it's not really like that. Like there isn't really a lot of references. There's a few, but not too many to the Landgrabs buying up everything. But I like to imagine that Nancy and her family own this building and they like own a lot of the big buildings downtown in Willow Creek. So if I were you, I would play with this lot and have Nancy be the landlord because that's kind of what I'm aiming to do. For the most part, I don't really plan on playing as a landlord at all. I kind of just want to be a tenant and live in the apartments. That's what's more exciting to me, especially because this one is so big. I haven't actually play tested that much playing in an apartment that has 12 units. I've played in ones that have 6, but this one has 12. So let's talk about that for a second because there is technically a limit to the number of units you can have on a lot, and that limit is 6. The max is technically 6 units, but with cheats, you can increase the limit to be sort of whatever you want, with the exception of the fact that you have to have a max of 99 total in the entire save. But you could, if you wanted to, have 99 on one lot at the absolute max. I wouldn't recommend you do that. In fact, it does not work. The game lags when you try and put 2 rentals. Imagine trying to have 99. Like, no way, don't do that. So with the cheat bb.increase rental unit cap on, you can increase the max rentals, and that's how you can use 12 units in just this one lot. Gameplay wise, like I said earlier, it runs completely fine for the most part. I haven't played too much here, but I did test it a little bit. The thing is, you don't really have to worry about it lagging or anything because it only loads one of them at once. So when you're playing here, it's only loading one of the apartments and all the other ones are empty, kind of like how the other lots are in the game. The game sees these all as being individual lots, so it's not loading them all at once, and therefore it runs pretty smoothly. And it's cool because there's a lot of people living here. If you've got all 12 units filled up, you've got a lot of neighbors that are using the common spaces downstairs. And speaking of common areas, I had a lot of fun decorating the exterior of this building. I went through and tried to make it almost like a park in the middle. There's like a cute little courtyard space in between the two buildings, and there's a fountain and some tables. There's a grill and some chess tables. In the back, I tried to put a couple things for kids, like some monkey bars and like a little tiny garden space. So there will be some life happening. If you play on this lot, you'll see the neighbors kind of out and about and using the areas downstairs, and I really like that about it. There's not a lot of room otherwise in here. Like realistically, there's not a lot of space for you to have the Sims exploring inside because the hallway is so small. But one thing I did add was a tiny basement. I built this obviously before the pack was fully out, so when I go on the gallery later, I'm gonna upload it with this feature. But I did make a basement space where you can add in like the water heater and the electrical fuse box. I just didn't put it here in this video because it didn't exist yet. And I've also been doing some experimenting with laundry. I don't think that this lot in particular is that good for laundry because there's only a ladder into the basement, and if you had to take a ladder to get to the laundry room, that would be a disaster. Like imagine in real life trying to carry your laundry up and down a ladder. No, that's not a good idea. But I have been experimenting with laundry because laundry does work on these big rental lots. My dream was to have a shared laundry room like in the basement of an apartment building or something like that, like what happens in real life, and it does work. I've tested it. They've made a new feature in the update last week where you can click and drag your Sim's laundry basket in their inventory, which sounds like a useless thing. You'd be like, oh, why does that matter? Well, the reason is that you have to bring your laundry basket into the laundry room now. So like if it's in their bedroom, for example, you pick it up, put it in their backpack, have your Sim go to the laundry room, put the basket down, and then you can click on it in there and add your laundry to the washing machine. So it's just like real life where you kind of have to carry the laundry with you. I thought that was so cool, and it does work totally fine. I even had, I didn't see the neighbors put the laundry in there, but at one point the washing machine was running and I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I didn't turn it on, and I didn't have like laundry piles forming from Sims that weren't me, because that was the other worry, was like, if I put the washer and dryer on the lot, am I gonna have all these random neighbors like leaving their dirty clothes everywhere? But I didn't have that happening. And if you've got laundry day, you might not have noticed this before, but the washer and dryer from laundry day, the last swatch has like a coin slot in it. There's 2 white swatches on that one. There's like a regular white swatch, and then the second white swatch has a coin slot, so it kind of looks like a public laundry machine. Washer and dryer, not laundry machine, but you know what I mean. It's kind of a cool feature. So all of that to say, I didn't put laundry here. There is not laundry in this build, but you could add it if you wanted to. I couldn't fit a proper staircase into the laundry room. It just wasn't looking that good. And then obviously I just felt like it was kind of silly to have a ladder going into a laundry room, but there is a basement there. So if you play here and you want to add it, you totally could do that. Right now, we finally moved onto the inside. So we're starting to properly furnish the first unit. I started downstairs in this like first floor kids room unit. This is one of the 2-bedroom apartments in this building. And in this one, I put bunk beds because I was kind of trying to maximize how many roommates you could have. I keep saying roommates, but like they don't they don't live with you. If they're just neighbors, I guess, if you live next door. But I wanted to maximize the number of Sims living on this lot, so I put the 2 bunk beds in hopes that you could fit at least 4 Sims in here. Most of them only have space for 2 Sims, so I was kind of trying to fit in some areas where you could have extra. In one of them, I put a space for a baby's crib, so you can maybe have someone that has an infant live here, so that gives you an extra roommate. Not roommate, neighbor. Sorry, I'm used to the previously existing methods in The Sims 4 where you had to have that weird roommate system. Now you don't. Now it's better. Although one thing I've noticed about playing this pack, when your neighbors have infants, they'll leave them outside sometimes. I guess this is just like The Sims 4, and The Sims 4 is just like this, but I've had experiences where like my next door neighbors, they had 2 twin infants and they just left them in the front yard and the parents went away. Like, I don't know where they were. There was just babies in the front yard, and I don't think that's a good idea. It is cool though to like see all the Sims out and about. I realize that's such a silly thing to point out, like, oh, it's so great to see Sims around, but it's really nice to live on a lot like this and feel how lively it is, because you really do see the neighbors a lot. If you put skill building items or like other sorts of useful items in the common areas, they will use them all the time. So I guess that's my other tip and like piece of advice when it comes to building these apartments. If you want to see your neighbors out and about, put stuff outside for them to do. They really like to grill, as we know. It's The Sims 4. They all love to grill. They like chess tables. I had neighbors using my telescope a lot, although that ended very badly for them. In one of my videos, if you missed it, I'm sorry for spoiling, but I posted like a 2-hour long video playing with the pack last week, like a Let's Play episode almost. It was very long, and at the very end, my Sim died from the telescope. I was kind of like switching between the 2 households. I had the landlord and the tenant households, and I had the landlord as my Sim's grandma, and then she lived next door with her wife and their baby, and I was kind of playing as both. I would like go back and forth loading between the lots and stuff so I could see both the landlord and the tenant gameplay, and I was playing as the landlord towards the end, and oh my god, there was a telescope in the front yard of my granddaughter's apartment. She had a little telescope in her courtyard, and she did use it a fair amount, but as I'm like about to end the video, I'm just talking like, oh, thanks for watching, you know, my Sim died. She got struck by a meteor right there in her front yard. That was the first time that I've had a Sim townie die from the meteor strike, because I have had it happen to my Sims before. The first time it ever happened to me was the day that the update came out with the telescope, and that's when the death came out. And I was filming a video and I was like, okay, you guys, I'm not sure if the meteor strike death is even in the game. We're hopeful it is, because we knew the telescope was coming and we were hoping that it was coming with the death too. So I was like play testing, kind of waiting to see. It had been out for like 10 minutes. No one's posting because it hasn't happened to anybody yet. And then all of a sudden, I hear this noise and my Sim got struck by the meteor and died. So I got really lucky, or depending on how you look at it, really unlucky, because it's not common that your Sims die from those, but it happened to me like straight away with Stanley Humphrey in that video. But ever since then, I've only ever had the pop-up, because it warns you when they're gonna die if you're playing as the Sim. It'll be like, oh no, meteor incoming, run inside. So I've had the pop-up like 3 or 4 times, but I've never actually let the Sim die aside from Stanley. And I've never had a townie, like a neighbor, die from it. I've never had like a random Sim sim just using my telescope and then get so unlucky as to die straight away. But long story short, if you put a telescope outside of your rental lots, you may have a neighbor die from it. And that might be what you want. I don't know. It's kind of what I want. So it might be worth adding in. I'm doing a lot of furnishing right now. We're moving pretty quickly, and I realized that this might be kind of overwhelming for you to look at because I'm going through and just like zooming around all these different units, but I hopefully have made them all distinct enough that it's obvious which one is which when you first see it. We're on the top left side right now, the left apartment on the top floor of the left building. And this one, I went for like a pink and green color scheme. I was really trying to experiment and mess around with colors and ideas because obviously doing this whole thing base game and trying to furnish 12 houses on one lot with only base game options is not easy. We have a lot of stuff in the base game, but there's not a lot of variety of stuff that I like. So I was really trying to push the limits and try and use things in different ways. I was trying to do some varying budgets too, because I wanted this to be nice to fit a lot of different kinds of Sims. So maybe your Sims have a starter home budget. There's some starter apartments. There's some that have some more expensive appliances. So I was kind of just trying to go around and make sure we had a lot of options so that no matter how you wanted to play here, it would work. I had a lot of fun doing some kind of ugly things in the bathrooms too. Like almost using objectively ugly bathroom tiles and stuff just to have some differences everywhere. Oh my goodness. And also, if you wanted to play here as a landlord, again, I don't. I'm not interested in that. But if maybe you did want to do that, you are gonna need to use some serious money cheats because this lot in total costs like hundreds of thousands of simoleons. Like this is not the kind of thing that a regular sim can afford. This is the kind of thing Nancy Landgrab can afford, but most of your Sims will not be able to buy this with like regular funds. It is very pricey. I mean, just look at it. It's absolutely enormous. So it's not an easy one to budget for. Obviously, I have sped this footage up a lot so I can cut it down to be a reasonable length to share with you. But if you like the idea of watching this sort of thing live, because I did build this live on my Twitch channel, it was kind of a journey for those of you who were there live. I know a few of you from the comments probably were, but it was a lot. We went through a lot together. This took me like 7 hours to build, so it was a long couple of days that we worked on this, and I think by the end of the furnishing, we were all kind of like, oh my god, I don't know how much more of this I can take, because it never ended. Like, as I'm furnishing all of it, there's just more and more. I got to like this point of the build, and I was like, oh wow, okay, we still have 6 units left to do. We're halfway done. It took me one whole stream, so like 3.5 hours, just to do the exterior and like all of the layouts and stuff, because I built all the floor plan walls and everything like that, and then it took me a whole second stream to furnish them all, and I did furnish them all in one stream too. That was like 3.5, 4 hours as well. So we made it through, but it was a long couple of days. So this last unit, you can kind of see what I'm talking about, where how I'm trying to like pick different vibes and color schemes, but also try and pick different skill items. So I had that left one be kind of plant vibes and I put a lot of plants in there. And then this right one, I'm calling it music vibes, and I put a lot of instruments and like musical decor because the base game has a shocking amount of art that is music themed. There's like all kinds of those jazz paintings and all sorts of artwork for the walls that is musical. So I was kind of trying to build this with the intention of using some of that stuff, and I think that this apartment is my favorite out of all of them, which is kind of shocking. I almost think that it's a little bit ugly. It has this like orangey toned wood that I despise. I always complain about it and then it's got like a lot of blue and orange accents together, which obviously, you know, they're complementary colors, so it makes sense that it kind of works, but it's just not really my personal vibe. But I think it's fun for a build because I don't normally use that stuff, and certainly not together, so I kind of liked having the chance to do it. The bedroom's quite big, so they have like an office space in there too. I tried to fit in all kinds of useful things. These 2 units also both have relatively big bathrooms. They're both 3x3. If you wanted to, I don't think that it would be that impossible to renovate each of these units to fit in an extra bedroom, because you might be able to squeeze somehow in that space a tiny bedroom and then rearrange the bathroom a bit. I always like to think about that because most times when I play with my Sims, I'll start out in apartments like this, and then I'll slowly but surely maybe upgrade it and change it to fit the space for the baby or the toddler, and then move out once I need some more space. Oh my god, I thought we were done with the first unit. We're not. Oh no, I still have 2 more to finish. Oh, looking back on this, I'm shocking myself. Okay, everyone, I think that I might not have even filmed the second building. that I watch this back, I'm like wondering if I recorded the footage of the second building. I might have just not even recorded it because it was taking so long. Okay, I'll have to show you a tour of the second building at the end so that we can see all the stuff in there. It was interesting because I tried to have all of them be different, but in the second building, I did a lot of copy and pasting. So what I would do is like take the apartment from the left unit and then duplicate it to the right one and then just change swatches and like kind of swap around a little bit of furniture. So it's the same layout because it's the same apartment really, but with different colors. And realistically, it doesn't matter that much if they're identical because if you're playing here, like you're not going to see them both at the same time. Unless of course you become like besties with the person in the other building and then you live in the same apartment as them. That'd be kind of weird. That would be strange if you had like identical apartments to your next door neighbor. But anyway, they're not identical. They're just slightly similar vibes with swatches changed because that way it's a little bit easier to furnish 12 because 12 is too many. And this one right here that we're doing right now, this one's kind of like the art apartment. So I used a lot of fun colors in here and tried to pick some like funky artist type of stuff. I think that at this point of the video, this is where the apartments get less generic. Like the first floor one, it was very generic family apartment. And then we go up and up and up further and the apartments get less and less generic. In fact, I decorated this bedroom in the purple apartment, the art one, to be clown themed. And I wish that I was kidding. I'm so not. Bear in mind, at this point, I've been working on this for hours. I've decorated 5 apartments before this. Like my brain is turning into mush. And I realized, oh my God, this really cute polka dot rug. This is adorable. And then I used it. I tried to mix and match the colors. And then I realized, oh my God, the tragic clown painting. It matches it perfectly. So I used that. And then this became the clown apartment. So we have a wide variety of things such as generic apartments, plant apartments, music apartments, clown apartments. What more could you ask for, really? You've got all the stuff in here. There's nothing else a person could ever possibly need. There's another one. Oh my God. I'm not even done. There's a 6th one upstairs. Wow. Okay, you know what? Let's be glad that I didn't record the rest of it because no one needs to see this much of it. Wow. Okay, so this last apartment, I remember it now. This is the other 2-bedroom apartment. It's on the top floor. And I tried to make this one fit a big family as well, but I realized that this bed, that's the Starry Night bed. A lot of people have never seen it before. When I used it, my whole Twitch chat was like, wait, what is that? What is that? That's a base game bed. It's a reward from the artist career. By default in the build catalog, it just looks like a plain red one. It's like plain bed, wood bed frame, red bedspread, but it has 2 art swatches. One is sunflowers and then one is the Starry Night. And I noticed that it matched that nice green wallpaper so well. So I used that. And then we're kind of getting a little chaotic again because I used the sailboat wallpaper in this kid's bedroom. I don't know. I use that thing all the time. I always joke like, oh, I gotta use it because when else are you gonna use it? That's like what I always say, but I always use it. So when else are you gonna use it? Probably in any kid's bedroom you make, Kayla. It's like the ghost wallpaper. If you have the spooky stuff pack, it's got this like glow in the dark ghost wallpaper. And I hate to say it, I use that all the time. Way more than anyone should be using it. And every time I say, well, when else am I gonna use it? And then I use it again and again and again. I use it all the time. It's just so silly. I love some chaotic Sims wallpapers. They're fun. So I like my ghosts. I like my boats. And this apartment, actually, the rest of it is it's very calm, I think is a good way of describing it. I was trying to match the vibes of that Starry Night bed a lot, but we don't really have that many things that really fit it that well. So I was kind of struggling to pull that off, but it becomes very like beige and yellow. And that, you know, that's basically just beige and beige, but it becomes very beige and yellow and gray kind of based on the rug and stuff. But it's nice because again, it's generic in a way that makes it easy to fit any sim living here. So if they've got a couple kids, if, you know, whatever their personality is, pretty much anyone could fit here as long as they like boat wallpaper. The rest of it's kind of bland, but the boats are a bit much. That's gonna be kind of shocking to anybody who has to see it. Okay, well, we're kind of almost done here with the interior of this building. I've shown you the full speed build of the whole left side. Like I mentioned earlier, I did go through and furnish the whole right side as well, the additional 6 units. But what I want to do now is go into the game and give you a full tour tour of the finished product and then also set it up to work as like a functional apartment building, because we still have to do that too. And we know it's gonna probably take us a while because the game is so laggy in build mode, but it's okay. We'll make it through together. In total, it's 463,000 simoleons. And I built it here in Willow Creek where the museum usually goes. So this is what the finished building looks like. You can see we have these really cute 2 buildings on either side. They're kind of like mirrors of each other. And I did a lot of work with debug with the landscaping. All of these are little debug brick pieces. And I actually kind of tried to match the wallpaper of these buildings to the color of these slightly orangey toned bricks because I thought it looked so good together. In the middle, we have that really nice courtyard area. There's some chess tables. We've got a grill and some seating to sit out here and eat. We've got a couple of these planter boxes so you can grow some stuff. And then we also have like a little playground equipment. There's not too much out here. I think with the pack, I'd probably add in some stuff like maybe some hopscotch over somewhere because a lot of the sides of the building are kind of bland, so it wouldn't hurt to have some more. I also want to get the apartment mailboxes and put them like over here maybe, because in this version, I put some fake mailboxes inside, but I don't think that these will work right for gameplay. So I'll just put one out here that will definitely work right for gameplay. When you come inside, you first walk into this little hallway. I tried to put some kind of generic stuff, like maybe a neighborhood community bulletin board. On the left, we have this first kind of small family apartment. They actually have 2 bathrooms and then 2 bedrooms over here. While we do the tour, I'm gonna try and class all of these as separate rooms. So I'll make this one unit number 1. I'm kind of interested in labeling these in a slightly different way. So I'm gonna call that 1A, and then I'll make next door be 1B, and then we'll have these be like 1C, 1D, all the way across the side. So next door, this one is a slightly smaller apartment too. It's just long and skinny, but I tried to make it for like maybe a young family. So they've got a baby who shares their bedroom. They've got some toys laid out and stuff like that. And then this part, this is what I was talking about in the basement. I guess you could put laundry down here if you wanted to. I don't think I will because I'm trying to limit packs a little bit, but this is where I wanted to put the water heater. I was hopeful about having a water heater and also the fuse box on these walls down here. I thought that kind of made sense. And then I made it kind of dark and scary down here as well. I'm actually gonna go all the way to the right to the other building. So you can see how these have the exact same layout, but they're furnished kind of differently. So in this one, this whole unit is kind of like pink and blue themed. I was actually basing it off of the pride flag colors from the trans pride flag, but I was kind of going for that. We've got a lot of pink everywhere. And this one, same layout, it also has 2 bathrooms, which is kind of a nice feature. They have sort of a weird shape to this bathroom, but it's not bad. It's nice to have the extra space. That becomes 1C. And then this one is totally different. It's like all black and dark blue and gray in here. That's 1D. One Direction. Oh my God. They live here in Willow Creek. Okay, and then you go upstairs. This is a view of, oh my God, they fixed the stair railings. Oh, my life just got so much better. You guys, you couldn't see this stair railing. The whole time before, you couldn't see it. I actually might start crying. I know that sounds so dramatic, but I'm so relieved. I'm so relieved. Okay, well, that's the shared hallway. Over here, this is that artist's clown apartment, if you will, that had like kind of the fun polka dot color scheme to it. And they've got a sort of small little polka dot themed pink and blue bathroom as well. And then to the right, this is that musician's apartment. I need to make sure I don't forget any of the bathrooms. I keep like almost missing out on rooms as I'm trying to label them all. And then across this way, this is the upstairs of the other unit. As you can see, this apartment is very similar to the music one. All of the furniture is the same, but I tried to change the colors, and I also added some extra plant stuff. So they have like some plants there. They have some more plants in their bedroom. They also have windows in a different place because they don't have the side windows like that one does. So it's a little different, but at its core, it's very similar inside. And then this one, I pictured this being like a university professor's apartment. So it's kind of fancy. They had like a library and a chess table, totally different vibe. Their kitchen is a bit more expensive. They've got a very formal bedroom, and this is their bathroom. Nope, this is their bathroom, sorry. Oh my God, I've confused myself. We're also out of units. So this is where you have to start cheating. It's bb.increase rental unit cap on. And now it's higher, so I can add whatever I want, wherever I want, up to 99. Thankfully, I don't need 99 units. We don't have to worry about that too much. I just need 12. I don't like that red outline at all. I think that's kind of ugly, but it's okay. That's 2C and 2D. And then upstairs again onto the 3rd floor. On the left side here, this one's also kind of plant vibes, but it's got this plant wallpaper and like a pink and green color scheme. That'll be 3 A. And then to the right, we have that kind of more relaxed, calming color scheme, the last one we did. This is my favorite bedroom out of all of them. I don't know why, because it's kind of bland. But I liked it a lot. I thought it was kind of cool. That becomes 3B. I think all of those are laid out properly. And then all the way across the way, this one is what I sort of considered to be the cheap apartment. It's like the cheaper starter home apartment that I used a lot of the cheapest stuff in, like cheap bed. We've got some slightly cheap furniture. I did use kind of expensive chairs, but thankfully, it's not that expensive. None of the apartments are really that expensive because they're all quite small. So they're pretty easy to play in and use. They aren't gonna cost your Sims too much money. That's 3C. And then last, sorry, I know the lines are so annoying, but last, this is the final sort of purple color schemed apartment. This one is kind of more of a family apartment as well. They've got a little table in the window. I really liked the blue and purple. I hadn't really used that stuff together before. I thought it looked kind of cute in here. They have a small kitchen. They did have a high chair for their toddlers because they've got 2 twin toddlers, and then they have this kind of cute bedroom. So I got to use a lot of stuff from the base game in ways that I don't normally. And that was one of the highlights of this build for me because I feel like I really got to experiment with this build a lot and use stuff in different ways. That's the benefit of trying to furnish 12 apartments. It kind of pushes you to your limit. Okay, annoyingly, I have to go back through and label the number of bedrooms and bathrooms in all of these as well. This normally isn't that annoying, but I have so many that it's kind of annoying. You can also set lot traits for all of these separately if you wanted to. I don't really want to, but you could. You could. It is so laggy as I'm trying to change these. It's really, really annoying. Okay, we got that. And then on the 3rd floor, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. Oh my God, please. Please just let me out of here. I need to save the game as well because it's struggling. It's just build mode, I swear. Live mode is fine. It's just build mode. And that makes me wonder if they'd be able to fix it. I would hope so, but I guess I don't really know. I'm not exactly an expert. I'm just someone who plays The Sims, so. Okay, well, as you can see, that cheap apartment's only 13,000, and the more expensive 2-bed one is 32,000. So very stark difference between these 2 units on the end there, but that is all of them now. We've completely finished it. I'm gonna go to manage worlds and just check that it looks okay. I should have saved first. I don't know what I was thinking. I really should have saved first. I think it's gonna be fine. I hope it's gonna be fine. Okay, we're good. Here's how it looks from manage worlds, and I really like this. I know it's silly to point out, but like, I think that this really, really fits in very well. I'm sorry. Is something bugged about the outside of it? Why do the windows look like that? Do you see that on the outside? Well, here's how all of the units look from the map view too. So you can pick each of these units individually. What's going on? It's kind of confusing when you can see the 1st floor one. But anyway, here's how they all look. They're all separately organized. It should be totally fine. You can see all the floors. Let me load back in and just check that it works fine. I don't think the windows are bugged. I think that was just a visual glitch. Everything should be totally fine. Aside from the fact that the freeze is like looking weird, but you can't fix that because it's The Sims 4. So, okay, I'm gonna put this on the gallery. You can't put the max up to 12, but there are 12 units. And I will stick this for real now. There's both a base game version and a new pack version on the gallery, so you could use either. This one's actually like laid out properly for you if you want it. And there we go. Okay. It is officially uploaded. Everything is totally and completely fine. You can use this now if you want. And that is a good time for us to end this video right here. I don't know if I'm gonna build any more 12 unit apartments anywhere. It might be fun to build something like this and have it be like 6 units and have each floor be its own unit. Because these are quite small individually, but they could maybe be like 4 bedrooms or something if you had them have the whole floor to themselves. Let me know if you guys want me to do the series where I try and build apartments for each world, because I kind of want to. I've kind of already started as well, so let me know if I should. If you think it's boring, then I won't finish it, because that would be a serious task. But I like the concept, so let me know. And on that note, I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. Oh my goodness, 12 apartments, 12. I actually had a lot of fun furnishing this. It was just hard because we only had the base game, and the base game doesn't have that many different swatches. Like, there's only so many beds you can use.